What is up, SmackNPie here, and boy oh boy, this is gonna be one of the toughest videos I had to do. I didn't realize the consequences of my actions at first, but when I got together and I got my mind together and I looked at what I've done, yeah, wish me luck, ladies and gentlemen. SmackNPie here, and welcome back to another Dark Deception video. Today we are looking at Dark Deception Chapter 4 release date. Yes, as you all know, Vincent Livings, the executive director of Dark Deception, did a live stream in his live stream series episode 2. There have been a ton of confirmation from him, and one of the most important one, of course, was the release date. So he did give us a ton of hints that we could use to our advantage of when Chapter 4 is releasing, and Dark Deception Mobile as well. Good news for Dark Deception Mobile, and probably positive news for Dark Deception Chapter 4 release date as well. So without wasting any more time, let us begin. So I'm just gonna get off of this right now real quick. As you all know, I do a lot of community posts whenever I'm confused. And before the live stream, actually 3 days ago, I posted on community tab that, hey, there is a chance to get featured on the video. I didn't thought many people would, respond to it. I was like, maybe 10-20 people would respond and I could make a small video on that. And guess what? When I was thinking about around 20-30 comments, there has been 176 comments and still going. I don't know how many after I upload this video, but 176 comments, that's way too much. So here's what I'm going to do, and you can already see that right now. All the comments that you have posted, I am just showing all of them, like scrolling down so everyone gets a kind of shout out and their thoughts on the screen right now. So there will be a little section in the screen, maybe right, left, bottom, I don't really know. I'll just edit and see where it fits. And I'm seeing a lot of people going for second quarter, which is really, it makes sense at this point now because we're done with first quarter already, and it's just not possible because Chapter 4 is such a huge thing, and that's definitely a date that makes actual sense. And whilst that one is going during the video, let's talk about something that is confirmed, because these are just speculations and discussion coming from someone who is working on the game, and who's better to answer these questions than the executive director himself, Vincent Livings, in the live stream where he did the episode 2 of Q&A for Dark Deception. He answered a couple of questions regarding the Chapter 4 release date, Chapter 4 progress, and Dark Deception Mobile as well. In the first question, he said this:
The Mining King donated $2. How is DD Mobile in Chapter 4 going? No rush. It's wrapping up. We're getting close. I can't give a release date because you know how bad I am at release dates, and it's gonna come back to, bite me in the butt. So just keep patient a bit longer. It's almost there.
We got screenshots of Chapter 3. They were looking already clean. It was almost like they were just fixing last few minor bugs for Dark Deception Mobile. So one thing is for sure, the Dark Deception Mobile is 100% almost completed. They're just fixing the minor bugs, the patch issues. You know how Chapter 3 went. The entire level was missing completely. That was horrible. But they're trying to fix it so that no more bugs, nothing on the release date. People can play all of that good stuff. And all good news is all Chapter 3 will be available on the phone. So 1, 2, 3 are done, and they're just wrapping up a few minor bugs. Google Play will be easy to do because Google Play is always easy to do. iOS users will just have to wait and see what they do. This is a big game, so iOS is obviously going to take some time. And about Chapter 4, they released Trigger Teddy voice reveal, which I never expected after Mama Bear reveal trailer. So that means that Chapter 4 is also coming very nice, and as Vincent Living said, it's coming together. We haven't seen any literal gameplay from the game, from Chapter 4. Like, we haven't seen a single screenshot of a soul shard within the game. So this is good because we don't know what we'll see, what we'll get, what are the flashbacks, if any powers, all of that good stuff. This is great. And if they're wrapping up, they're pretty good with keeping the spoilers. Now here's another one. When someone asked about Dark Deception Mobile coming this month, and surprisingly he responded with this:
Will DD Mobile come out this month? It's possible, yes. So we're kind of polishing the last 10% of the visual bugs in DD Mobile. Basically all the levels are done. We just have some visual bugs that are still remaining that we're trying to polish and perfect. So once that's done, then it's the submission process through Apple and Android. And Android's easy, Apple takes a little bit of time, but it's very possible it could be within the next 30 days. It's possible it could go a little over that. And I'll give you a heads up when I know. So a trailer will go out a week before the launch. So when you see the trailer, you'll know that DD Mobile is only a week away.
It is very possible for Dark Deception Mobile to release late this month, not next month, not the second quarter, late this month. As we talked about earlier, all levels are done. We've seen Chapter 1 screenshot, Chapter 2 screenshots, Chapter 3 screenshots. They're all looking clean, just a few minor bugs we've seen from the tablet. We've seen, I don't know how the powers are going to work, especially teleportation, so I hope they fix that. We still don't know about anything in the gameplay, how they actually move around and the quality and the frame rate and the phone's requirements, all of that stuff. But one thing he did say that we will get a trailer for Dark Deception Mobile literally 1 week prior to the game launch. So when there is a trailer for Dark Deception Mobile, that means we're just 7 days left from getting that good stuff in our phones, in our hands. There is a very big possibility that it'll end up in late March. However, if they use the approach of Bendy developers like they used with Boris and the Dark Survival, chances are we'll get late March. Dark Deception chapters 1, 2, 3. Why am I using Boris and the Dark Survival example? Because Boris and the Dark Survival, the Meatly games of course, they released Boris and the Dark Survival on PC, and there was a couple of days gap, maybe 1 or 2 maximum, and then we got the game on Android. But iOS took a couple of days, maybe a week at max. So if they use that approach, Android users could get Dark Deception Mobile first and then iOS later, but from we learned last time, way before, they're not gonna do that. Of course, they're gonna wait for both Android and iOS to approve their game so that they could release both at the same time. Now let's get back to Chapter 4. Now this might be a confusion to some people. People were asking, okay, Chapter 4 will come first, Dark Deception Mobile will come first. Well, Vincent Livings answered that as well.
I know that Dark Deception Mobile will launch with the first 3 chapters, but once Chapter 4 comes out for PC, will it also come out on mobile on the same day? Probably not. So Chapters 1, 2, and 3 on mobile were an incredible amount of work. Porting, Dark Deception itself is a very visually intensive game. That's why the minimum system requirements are higher than most games. Running Unreal Engine is no small feat. I mean, that's a pretty beefy engine that has a lot of hardware requirements. So getting that to work on a mobile phone that usually has no more than 4 gigabytes of RAM and a pretty weak processor, even though it can run a lot of games and it's more powerful than a low-end PC, it's still pretty weak for Unreal Engine. It took a lot of optimization. So Chapter 4 is by far the biggest chapter. And it's in progress right now on mobile, but it's going to take a little while. So I would say, I would expect it after Chapter 4 releases to go out maybe a month or 2 after Chapter 4. So mobile's going to be trying to catch up, kind of following behind the PC releases. But eventually they're all going to get out. It's not going to be too long of a wait.
Yep, he didn't specifically answer which one is going to come first because we already talked about it, that Dark Deception Mobile has much higher chance of coming first than Dark Deception Chapter 4. But one thing we do know now, that Chapter 4 will come first and then a few months later, maybe it'll be on phone because they already started making Chapter 4 on the mobile. Chapter 5, all 5 chapters will be released on PC first. There will be a gap and then all 5 chapters on phone. When somebody asked about early quarter second of 2020 to Vincent Livings for Chapter 4, he responded with this, of course.
The end of Q1 2020 is coming soon. Will Chapter 4 be released in second quarter? I can't comment on release dates at this point. We are progressing on Chapter 4. I hope it can finish in Q1, which is the estimation I gave. But you know me, there's always a possibility it can slip into early Q2. I'm going to look at where the game is, if we can finish it in time, and then I will let everyone know ahead of time if it's going to slide more. But my obligation is to make sure the game looks and plays awesome. That's the only thing I'm worrying about. I'm not watching the calendar saying, oh, I got to get it out on this date because I said Q1 or I said Q2 or whatever.
quarter second, which is of course April, just like everybody's mentioning in the comments, like I'm showing. I apologize if I didn't show anyone else's because there's just so many comments to go through. It's gonna be really interesting. April, we could see it go to May. If Dark Deception Mobiles comes late March, forget April, because April is gonna be filled with that. Maybe late April, maybe early May, who knows. But early quarter second, I'm gonna say early to mid. That's where we should be lying. So to wrap things up, basically, chapter 4 and Dark Deception Mobile are completed. They're just fixing the minor bugs. Chapter 4 is gonna take a long time because of course 3 zones, intermissions, cutscenes, boss fights, powers, so many enemies. But for Dark Deception Mobile, things are coming up nicely according to them, and we could see it later this month. Again, a week before the game launch of Dark Deception Mobile, there will be a trailer drop, and exactly 7 days after, we will be playing the game on our phones. As always, we will be covering every single aspect of that game. There's Joy Gang confirmations, there's Mannequins confirmation, there's so many other chapter 5 stuff that Vincent Living's confirmed, but I need to find time. I need to find right balance to do each video. So expect next couple of days to be more confirmation coming from Vincent Living's. Now, if you'll excuse me, I got this video to watch, and yeah, we'll see each other on the next. Yep, 940. We're just 60 subs away from getting that 25k, sweet 25k. You know what's coming at 25k.